about professions in art, that is careers in art. Awesome! My name is Opeyemi Richardson Owebo and you're welcome to Blue Bloom's Art World channel. In this world, we learn everything about art and there is always a content for my lovelies, my wonderful parents and super awesome teachers. Okay, so welcome back. Now, last time we talked about the branches of art. So we're going to use the branches of art to structure some of the professions I'm going to be mentioning today. Okay, now let's take a sneak peek on last time's topic. So last time's topic we talked about branches of art, visual art and non-visual art, and under visual art we have the fine art and applied art, and under non-visual art we have the performing art and the literary art. So some of the professions we are going to be mentioning today will have to do with fine and applied art, and then in the next episode we talk about some of the professions in performing, literary art and crafts. Awesome! Okay, so we start with fine arts. So I'm going to mention some of the professions under fine arts. So number one, we have illustrator. So now an illustrator is someone who draws to tell a story, to give a message or pass an idea across. So now those comics, magazines, newspapers, you know, sometimes you see some drawings there talking about probably a particular news, and then your comic like Archie, there you see Archie and his friends. Now you also have some storybooks with pictures. So all these pictures are done by illustrator. So you can say that it's an awesome profession. So imagine you studying art and becoming an illustrator. That would be so awesome, right? So now we go to number two. Number two is painter. Yes, a painter. Now, a painter is someone who paints a picture. Now, I'm going to tell you a difference. Now, a house painter is also an artist, yes, but he is not a painter. So a house painter paints a building. So you build a house and you call the house painter to come paint it so that it won't be the color of the cement you used to paint. So he adds beauty to that building. It brings out the beauty of that building by adding colors. So that's what a house painter does. But for a painter puts lines, shapes, forms together to form a picture, and then he paints it. He adds colors to it. A painter is actually using these elements of art to communicate, to tell you what he feels, or to tell you what someone feels, or to talk about something that is happening. So that is what a painter does, and not house painting. So now you can tell a painter to come paint an expression, an idea on a building. That doesn't mean he's a house painter. It means that he's painting an idea on that building, not painting the whole building. Awesome. So we go to number three. Now remember I mentioned illustrator, painter, and the house painter is a plus. Okay, so we go to number three, is a sculptor. So now a sculptor is an artist that uses materials like clay, metal, wood to create a 3D object or a relief object. 3D design or a relief design. So a 3D object could be a statue, a bust. So a bust is the one from the head to the chest. And it could be a relief that is done mostly on walls. Okay, so now we go to applied art. Let's dive in. So now for applied art, remember that applied art is also industrial art. And under applied art, we have graphics, textile, we have ceramics, architecture, and photography. Okay, so I'm going to be mentioning some professions in this aspect of art also. Okay, so we start with number 1. So we have the graphic designer. So a graphic designer is an artist that puts together pictures and text for communication purpose. So he uses pictures and text to create a design to communicate. So those billboards, posters, those giant signages we see, those flyers, textbook covers, all those things are done by a graphic designer. So imagine if you're a graphic designer. That would be so awesome, because you definitely will be playing with text and images and also colors. So a graphic designer uses the computer 90% of the time. So if you're going to be a graphic designer, then it means you have to be seriously computer literate. Awesome. So now we go to number 2. Now for number 2, we have the textile designer. The textile designer is an artist who creates designs for fabric or any related materials. So now, all those Ankara, all those lace, all those net materials. In fact, the Adire, the Kampala, they are created by textile designers. So when you see that woman, when you see the man in the market creating Adire, don't just call him that old man working, or don't say the man, the woman that changes the color of the fabric. No, they are professionals called textile designers, because they create designs for fabrics or any related material. So we go to number 3. So number 3 is a ceramist. So we also call a ceramist a potter. So a ceramist is someone who creates ceramic wares like your toilet seat, your teacup and saucer, your flower pots, your flower vase, and so on, using clay. So a ceramist uses clay. The major material of a ceramist is clay. So it uses clay to create all these things, and it fires them. So it bakes them at the end of the day, and the baking process is actually what makes it to be functional. So it bakes them and then you use them. So we can see that this is a professional that has to do with our everyday life. Like, it is very important in our everyday life. Can you just tell me that in your own house, as big as your house is, you can't find one ceramic ware? You will surely do, right? Yes. So ceramist is another profession that is awesome. Okay, so now we go to number 4. Yes, number 4 is the photographer. Wow, we all do know what the profession is about, right? Yes. So a photographer is an artist who, with the camera, blends the technical skills and artistic eyes. So he understands how to set his camera, and also he uses his artistic skill. Remember, he's an artist. So he uses the technical skills and the artistic eyes to take pictures of people, spaces, and activities. So the major material of the photographer is the camera. That is why photographers don't joke with their cameras. Their camera is their key material, is their key tool, is their key object. So now, photography is a good profession. You know that, right? Because it's one profession that the professional helps us to put our memories into pictures. So they document these memories for us in the picture form. So we have something to go back to. Okay, and lastly, we have the number 5. And the number 5 is the architect. Now, the architect, remember, last time I told you that architecture is under applied arts. Yes, and I told you why. Good. So now the architect is another profession that we can go for in art. So you can decide to be an architect. You're still an artist. And that is why, if you notice, when they're designing, it's all just always different. It's always unique. Why? Because of that artistic part of them. Okay, so an architect is an artist who plans, who designs and oversees the construction of a building. So you want to build a complex. You actually don't know what it will look like, but you have an idea of what you want it to look like. So an architect is the one who creates this plan for you, who designs it. So that is where you have a sample, a maquette, like just a tiny bitty form of what that big giant building is going to look like. Architect is the one that does that for you. And then when it's time to put that maquette into the real thing, an architect is also that artist who oversees the construction. Remember, he has to oversee it. Why? Because he was the one who did the planning and the designing. Awesome! So now we can see that, in fact, we've not even talked about performing and literary art, which we will talk about next week. But we can see that just for fine and applied arts alone, we have a lot of professions we can go for. So if you're in school, you're planning to go to the institution, and you're thinking of the course you want to study, but you're like confused. Would I have an interesting and a very promising career in this course? Yes. So these are some of the professions you can go for. These are some of the careers you can go for. And I bet you we have a lot of these professionals in Nigeria and across the world who are doing very, very well. So before we come to the end of today's session, I'm going to mention some of these professionals, and then we come to the end of this. Okay, so we have some of these professionals we have Papa Motayo, we have Tosin Oshinawa, who are great architects and doing very well. So we have painters like Kilani Abbas, we have Olumide Onadipe, who are very, very good too. Also, we have illustrators like Udwak Akpan, we have ceramists like Ato Arize. For photographers, we have Yetunde Babeko, we have T.Y. Bello, who are doing so very well with their artistic forms. And then for sculptor, we have Dr. Bobola. So we can see that there are a lot of people that have chosen this profession and they are doing very well. So as you're going to the university, there are a lot of professions you can go for when you graduate as an artist. Mommies and daddies, don't forget, I know way back the idea is always what would he or she go for? What would he do when he studies this course? But as you can see, there are a series of professions, a series of careers your child can actually go for after studying art in school. So with this, we come to the end of today's session. Next week, we'll be talking about some professions or careers in performing arts, literary arts, and crafts. Awesome! So please, if you find my content interesting, informative, and inspiring, please don't forget to like, to share, and most importantly, please don't forget to subscribe. Please, it's very important because this will help you to be one of the very first to see my content when I post. Thank you so much for always coming back. See you next time. Bye.